you know. And if they're not vegetarian, then you just don't eat what they eat. Make your own food.
Jai. Um, Ajit
And
Prabhu,
Arjit Prabhu, you asked another question here. I have no japa beads. Can I chant without that? Yes, you can. I don't have it too. The japa beads are only to give you, those numbers, the count. But what matters most is how many chants have you done sincerely, thinking of Krishna. Because it's not keeping a count that matters, but it's how determined you are to think about Krishna in every chant that you do. And you have books online, Prabhu, so you don't have to spend money to buy those books. And if you are on the WhatsApp group, I'm sure you could ask if you need any book, and there's lots of help around. Um, Ramchandra Prabhu will definitely give you resources that you need to get going in this path. So
oh
just ask
yes,
for Prabhu.
we have
Yeah, he's there to
all
help.
the tools
Yeah.
here for people's success in spiritual life. I'm just going to share some things. So you can
Without
see.
a single rupee spent, without a single penny spent, you will be
Yeah,
able to read all the books. So
here's
don't.
here's one compendium of Prabhupada's books, letters, conversations, which you can download if you have a PC. We have the original books. This is the 2003 one, but we have the compendium with only the original books. So if you want that, just send me a message, and then you can install it on your PC, so you'll have all the books. Uh, so, like for example, you can search also anything, anything you want. For example, we're talking about marriage, so let's see what Prabhupada says about marriage. So this comes up, see, 2,132 times in this folio Bhakti Vedanta Vedabase. So see, it comes up 9 times in the Bhagavad-Gita, 211 times in the Srimad Bhagavad Purana, 34 times in the Chaitanya Chaitamrita, 114 times. So you can see here. So you can search like this. Anything you like. Okay, someone is. Uh,
Prabhu, I'm going to take leave now.
Haribol.
Thank you so much. Um, Hare Krishna to
Hare
everyone.
Krishna. Jai.
My sincere obeisances to all of you.
Jai.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
He said, Arjit Prabhu saying, and one more question. I belong to a meat eating family. I refuse, but I fail. So what can I do? That's a yeah. I mean, I came from a meat eating family too. So once I became stronger in my Krishna consciousness, I started cooking my own food and eating my own food. I have my separate refrigerator, separate uh, grains and this and that, everything separate, my own cooking utensils. So that's how I did like that, for some years, I think, for a couple of years. Then my mother became a vegetarian, and then she's in a full-time vegetarian now. So me becoming vegetarian, it had an influence on her, and then so it's a chain effect. You become serious about Krishna consciousness, you change your lifestyle, people will see it and people will appreciate, and it will catch on,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So don't worry about.
I'm surprised, Ramachandra Prabhu, that your family was a meat eating family.
You saw them. Yeah. Yeah, my mother's a vegetarian, my father is not, my brother is not, and my what do you call my brother's wife, sister-in-law, yeah, sister-in-law, she's not. So yeah, but my mother is uncompromising, and she's always, after I became vegetarian, a few years after that, she also became. I think she was naturally inclined, but it just the ethos was, like that. So once I became a vegetarian, she also became. So that's that's my story. If I pray to Krishna, will he help me to get out of it? Well, what will Krishna do? I don't know. If you ask for help, certainly he might give you strength to continue your. I'm not sure your situation in which you are. Generally in Indian family, He said you're 17 years old. Let me see. Let me go up. So if you're 17, then let's see. Okay, I'm only 17 years old. Well, you're 17 years old, so I think you should chant Hare Krishna, read Prabhupada's books, try to associate with devotees, maybe even read books with your mother. I'm not sure what's your mother tongue. If it's Hindi, then Prabhupada has books in Hindi. If it's English, then you can read to your mother in English. So try to maybe even attend the festivals at the ISKCON temples. Make some friends at the ISKCON temple or whatever, wherever you are, devotees who are vegetarian and practicing. That will certainly help. What else, Rupa? Manjari Prabhu? What can we suggest?
I think we should get Narayan to answer.
Where is he? Where did he go? Can you call
Why
him?
don't you call him?
Okay, let me call him. He was on, but what
Yeah,
happened?
call him and see what happened to him.
Let's see. Okay, so he's having trouble connecting with the headphones. So he said he's going to try again.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay, so let's see. I hope our suggestions are somewhat helpful to you, Rajit Prabhu. Um, we're just kind of drawing from the ether and trying to give some insights. All right. Okay. I will need to leave in 10 minutes. Over. God. Thank you. No problem. You can leave in 10 minutes. You can join again next time we have our meeting, which would be on Saturday, and then Sunday. Our meetings are Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We start about 7:45, 8 o'clock, California, USA time, Pacific time, they call it. Okay, maybe I can start reading some things here while his. Okay. Okay, great. What should we read, Rupa Manjari Prabhu? Any ideas, suggestions, or search keywords?
Let's do a search on what the spiritual world is like.
Give a keyword. Spiritual world.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me start sharing. You asked for it, so you're gonna be surprised. Spiritual world comes up 4,886 times, and let's go for it. Okay. First hit comes up in the introduction of the Bhagavad-Gita. Do you want to read it? Rupa Manjari Prabhu?
Sure.
Here we go.
Here, the material world is described as a tree whose roots are upwards and branches are below. We have experience of a tree whose roots are upward. If one stands on the bank of a river or any reservoir of water, he can see that the trees reflected in the water are upside down. The branches go downward and the roots upward. Similarly, this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is but a shadow of reality. In the shadow, there is no reality or substantiality, but from the shadow, we can understand that there are substance and reality. In the desert, there is no water, but the mirage suggests that there is such a thing as water. In the material world, there is no water, there is no happiness, but the real water of actual happiness is there in the spiritual world. The Lord suggests that we attain the spiritual world in the following manner. Nirmana moha jita sangadosa, adhyatma nitya vinivrita kamaha, dvandvair vimukta sukha dukha samgayir, gachanti amudha padam avyayam tat.
Your pronunciation is impeccable.
Thank you.
Right. So that's 2 hits. Let's go to the third one. You want to read, Rupa?
Sure.
Avaktya.
Avyakta means unmanifested. Not even all of the material world is manifested before us. Our senses are so imperfect that we cannot even see all of the stars within this material universe. In Vedic literature, we can receive much information about all the planets, and we can believe it or not believe it. All of the important planets are described in Vedic literatures, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, and the spiritual world, which is beyond this material sky, is described as avyakta, unmanifested. One should desire and hanker after that supreme kingdom, for when one attains that kingdom, he does not have to return to this material world.
Guy. Okay, that's the third hit.
Did Narayana join? There he is.
Yes. Narayan Prabhu, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm hooked in finally.
Okay, it worked.
Hare Krishna.
Guy. Okay. We have some
What
new
was it we
devotees.
just read?
Oh, Rupa Manjari and we looked up the word spiritual world. So it came up 4,400 some times in Prabhupada's books and other places. So we were just reading that.
Well, spiritual world means the source of the material world
Yes.
and the
that's-
source of the jivas.
Yes.
And the spiritual world actually is Krishna's manifestation.
Yes. Right.
But we are not part and parcel of the spiritual world. We're part and parcel of Krishna. Right?
Okay, so anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube, if you want to join our Istagosthi meetings, please click on the WhatsApp link in the description and you'll come in the group, and the link is posted there. So, Jai. Okay, Subramaniam Prabhu. Yes. Okay. Okay, what's going on here?
Did I hear the Shreya is on our line?
She was, but she left.
Because?
She said she needed to go.
Oh,
Family and children.
Family and children and work, right?
That can occupy us. It's a big responsibility. That's what I've learned. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Hare Krishna. Who is this guy? All right, so we're getting some, whatchamacallit. So please continue. Mahaprabhu, ask a question. I'm trying to manage our Istagosthi meetings here. We got some crazy people in our meeting, so in our group. So I'm trying to remove them. 1 second.
What do we
Crazy
have?
people tonight?
What do we have?
We got some spammers in the group, so I'm trying to delete them.
Oh, scammers. Oh,
Spammers.
They don't belong.
They do. They just don't realize what it would take.
Good point. I'm driving. Excuse my intermittence.
We don't reject anyone, but they can reject themselves by not understanding the opportunity that is in front of them.
So how was your day, Narayan?
Interesting.
Are you healing?
Right, wedding?
Are you healing?
Well, from what perspective?
From the perspective of your forehead and your nasal cavity.
Oh, it's practically completely healed by now.
Oh, fantastic. Good to know.
Yeah, it grows fast. My secret is I don't put any medicine on, and I don't like to use bandages.
Wow. Excellent. I'm happy to hear that.
You know, those things are created for women who feel sorry that their children got hurt. So they like to put all sorts of things on the owie to make it feel better. But actually, that's not necessary at all.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, for the most part. I was born on a farm, and we got hurt all the time. We'd fall out of trees. We get hit by branches, get stung by poison oak and poison ivy, got stuck with brambles from blackberries. I mean, that was just part of learning how to navigate the world in which we were born. We didn't even think of it as a factor of growing up. We saw it more as a factor of navigating.
Your dad owned the farm?
Yeah, nature does the healing. My brother-in-law, who was a world famous medical research scientist, who also learned to practice orthopedics when one of his daughters ended up as a dwarf and required multiple surgeries to be able to move around. She's still doing great. And he had a sign in the kitchen, which of course he didn't dare put in his office. And it said, let's see, what did it say? The doctor entertains the patient while nature affects the cure.
Excellent.
And he was a top research medical scientist. But I challenged that he had no way to put that up in his office. his patients would lose patience.
The doctor entertains the patient, and then what?
The doctor entertains the patient while nature effects the cure.
Oh.
Effects, EFFECTS.
Amen.
No, it's while nature produces the cure.
Beautiful.
Today, I had an interesting conversation with a devotee in Ireland. He was talking about the original books versus the changed books. So we were having a discussion. So he brought up an important point that edited books have. Can you hear, Narayan Prabhu?
Yes.
I guess you cannot hear, huh? Your headphones.
No, I can hear.
Oh, you can hear.
It's
Okay.
coming through it's not coming through my earphones.
Okay. Anyway, so he suggested that the edited books give some benefit, but it doesn't have potency. So I thought about it. The edited books, it is helpful, but it doesn't have the potency. So I was like, he was explaining it to me. So it made sense. The edited books, certainly it's beneficial, but does it have the potency to change people's lives? And
Well, they do and they don't.
yeah,
Can I give you an example?
sure, yes, no, Prabhu, go ahead.
There was a very large Afro-American fellow who was the head pujari in Los Angeles, and he developed a heart condition where his heart became 4 times bigger than it was supposed to be, and the prediction was he was going to die very quickly. So he and his non-Afro-American wife moved to Vrindavan so that he could die. Well, it turns out that although he was bedridden most of the time, he lived for another 4 years. And during that time, they created a very wonderful spiritual gardening situation where it was like where children and people could come in and see spiritual light. So he wanted the Bhagavatam to put on his chest because he was having difficulty with his heart. So they brought him a Srimad Bhagavatam, and he put it on his heart, and he said, "I don't understand. There's something wrong here." I said, "What is this Bhagavatam?" And then they brought him another one, unchanged. And then he said, "Yes, this feels right." You see, this pure devotee is perfect and complete, as described in Shastra. Because he's completely perfect, anything he does is also perfect. Even if there are errors in language, errors in grammar, misspellings, or typos, if it's the original writer who is an Uttama Adhikari, Acharya, then it is clearly perfect. When people edit it to take out stuff that's about women or minorities or brain sizes and stuff like that, it becomes less perfect. Substantially good, but not what it was. That's why it's so vital that we go with Prabhupada's original approved literatures, even if they were edited by Hayagriva, because whatever he approved in his lifetime by receiving the book and glancing through it or reading through it, giving classes from it, is perfect and complete. So that's the beginning, the middle, and the end of the reality of book changes. And they changed them on purpose because you have people like Rita Ananda Swami, who was out talking with college students, and it didn't resonate with their wokeness, or whatever it is called these days, of political correct this and that. We have to remember that in the period of the remainder of 10,000 years of the golden age of Kali, what's politically correct in 1978 or 1985 is not the same thing that's politically correct in 3,000 years from now, or 8,000 years from now. We have to take the truth as it is, and if it doesn't suit our politically correct understanding of things, then we have to bite the bullet, not change the books. Does that make sense?
Yes.
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 Narayan Prabhu. Yes, it makes sense.
People everyone is there. What
Yeah.
happened to Shreya? I struggled so hard to get on, and then she vanished.
She had some other pressing issues that she had to take care of. She said she was going to join for 10 minutes, and then.
Oh, I see. Did she have any interesting issues to bring up?
No issues. She was quite happy that in a good consciousness and happy in whatever
Yes.
state she was.
She sounded good.
Yeah.
You see, that's also a reality. Like, if the doctor takes the pulse of the patient, it's either good or not good, right? With spiritual life, you'd hear the tone of the devotee. And when I heard Shreya's voice sounding, it sounded good. And I wanted to interact because she understands things that most people don't. Or she understands things that people do understand, but understands them in a different way. Meaning, she is acting as spirit soul, which is the beginning, of course, of the Madhyamadikari endeavor. And it doesn't matter. A person can be born already working on the Madhyamadikari platform from their previous life. And I know several, or a couple of such people in that category. And she's one of them.
Joy.
Other devotees are advanced in other ways, you know. But she is advanced in that way. So that's why I'd like the opportunity of feeling the pulse. So now where are we going?
Okay, so yeah, let's see where we're gonna go. You tell me.
Well, the one thing which I'm thinking about day and night is that after Prabhupada, no one can or has delivered a complete message. If we're looking at the message as to Prabhupada as the messenger, which is what says in Shastra, then he delivered the message. And he made recordings of it all over the place.
Yes.
And the message is the sound of Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani, which means to gather the spirit souls up and to create a mass of souls as they are in Krishna Loka. Now you might say, well, how are you going to get everyone to chant just like Krishna Loka? Well, obviously they're not. But what does it take? Just hearing the holy name once. They can be counted in the eternal platform as liberated souls. You see, everyone that has a body want something good to happen to their body or with their body. So they say, well, I heard the holy name once, but I'm still me, meaning my body. I'm still married or not married. I'm still this, I'm still that. And I would like to go back to Godhead. I want to die and go to heaven. Well, that's not how it works. What they should understand and accept is that they are going back to Godhead, which puts them in that position. So if Lord Chaitanya's mission can accomplish nothing else than broadcasting to every jiva the holy name of Krishna, it doesn't matter how many lambs and lambs come out and lie down with each other, as Isaiah predicted of Lord Chaitanya. We're not concerned with how many people are dancing and chanting. In fact, we're not concerned if people do dance and chant. They can be as stupid and reluctant as they want. But if we chant enough, the plants and the vegetables, the birds, the insects, the maggots, I like to say, lizards, cows, horses, and some people will take up the chanting. At least they will hear if it goes in their heart. And not to disparage the humans completely, if the human beings hear the holy name of Krishna, it doesn't matter if they become Kanistha Adhikaris. Some of them will. Some of them already have. Prabhupada created that life raft in the middle of the causal ocean where people are clinging to the life raft and beginning to awaken as spirit soul. But considering how many people there are on earth, it's a small number. So it doesn't matter. What matters is that they hear. And of those who hear, increasing numbers will become Kanistha Adhikaris. Now, we don't have to worry about anything further than Kanistha Adhikari. If everybody on planet Earth became a Kanistha Adhikari, our mission would be complete. Everyone has come to the spiritual platform. That's Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. They follow the regulated principles, they worship the deity, they read Prabhupada's books restored to their original condition. They chant japa, they listen to kirtan, Prabhupada's melodies in the temple, Prabhupada on recording. And if they absorb themselves in these things, then our whole mission will be a complete success.
What did you want to say, Mahaprabhu?
I wanted to say, what about the karmis amongst us?
We're all karmis amongst us. Karmi means a person who's generating karma. Karma means reaction to action. There's three types of karma. There's karma, which is a good thing. It means that you will advance and take a higher birth in your next lifetime. Maybe even if you're very good at your karma, you might become a demigod on a higher planet. Then there's a Vaikarma, which means sinful activities, which is what everyone that you see when you open your eyes and look around you is busy doing. They were born with a certain amount of good karma, and they're gradually and even rapidly using it up as fast as they can because they think they're going to die and go to heaven when they die, which they're not going to do. They're just imagining, but they're using up all their good karma, and it's not possible in this day and age to generate more good karma. In this day and age, it's possible to chant Hare Krishna, and that takes the place of good karma because you purify yourself from sinful activity as a Kanistha Adhikari. You're purifying yourself in the gradual process of purification. You purify yourself from bad karma, which is the same, which is better than good karma, because good karma will take you materially higher. Chanting Hare Krishna helps dissolve your karma from past lives in this lifetime, sinful deeds that we've done, like eating a hamburger. And that will giving up the hamburger and chanting Hare Krishna, yes, it'll burn up karma. And that will be better than good karma. But there's no way to do good karma in this lifetime. People going to church are simply finding ways of blessing them, being blessed or blessing themselves to die and go to heaven, which is not going to happen because they're not doing anything to merit going to heaven. In fact, they're doing horrible things.
Is a karmi considered a lower caste of Krishna, of consciousness?
No. A karmi is not in Krishna consciousness.
Got it.
A devotee is not generating karma unless he does all sorts of sinful materialistic deeds, which some devotees choose to do. But by being a kanista, put it this way, a kanista adhikari in good standing produces practically no bad karma, produces what is called Krishna karma, or good deeds that have little perks to them. Like if a devotee leaves the movement from having been a drug addict, he goes out after 20 years, 30 years as a devotee, he'll find opportunities opening up for him to have business and stuff like that he couldn't have had as a drug addict. That's called Krishna karma, or I like to refer to it as Krishna gives us walking around money. In other words, if you're completely renounced, how do you buy something? Well, Krishna makes arrangements where you get little bits of money coming here and there to you as a renunciate. Because he knows you need things, and he, being Paramatma, he knows exactly what those things are. So he makes the arrangement so that you don't have to make an endeavor. So without endeavoring, you'll get what you need, not what you want. If you want a palace, you may not get a palace. But if you want to serve Krishna and live at his lotus feet, he will give you whatever housing is best for you, whether it's a tree or nothing, just sleeping on the ground, or a nice cottage where people bring you food from outside the way they do in India for holy men, or you may get an ashram, or you might even get a very nice house provided by Krishna, if that house is an opportunity for you to invite people in to take prasadam and to worship it with your deity. So we should think that when a person's a devotee and they're brahmachari, they leave the brahmachari status and become a householder. As a householder, if they are bringing people into Krishna consciousness, that will be very wonderful for everyone concerned. And Krishna will provide the house and the ingredients for the food and the money to pay the rent or the mortgage or to pay for the house altogether. Okay, and none of that is karma. There's no karma. The Krishna karma means that you get goodies provided by Krishna, but it's not karma. There's no reaction. Karma means karmic reaction. So the third type of karma is akarma, means transcendental to karma. That's Adam and Eve before they ate the forbidden fruit. In the Garden of Eden, the knowledge of good, karma, evil, vikarma. So they must have been living in akarma, or transcendental life with God. And that's how it's described crudely in the book of Genesis. I mean, barbarically crude, ignorantly crude, but true nonetheless, if you know how to. As a Vaishnava, as a student of the Vedas, you can look at the book of Genesis and the Garden of Eden and the forbidden fruit, and you say, oh yeah, that's obvious what that is. It was the fruit of good and evil. And what happens if you know good and evil? You have to go into the material world where everything is based on good and evil, sinful and pious. That's what the material world is made of, right? So that's, people are in the material world, then they want God to have a son that will save them while they do evil and pretend to do good. So one thing is, if they're not vegetarians, they can't give up doing evil, particularly if they are eating cows, because Krishna will not accept their actions as godly if they're eating cows. But anyone, cow eating or not cow eating, can be an Istagosthi, and he can accept the very principles which you have to be an austere, godly person to be able to understand. You can get it right away at Istagosthi. It's just given to you here. And so no one should be embarrassed if they are drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes and attending Istagosthi. There's no problem. Of course, if a person's a devotee is doing those, that's different. But I'm talking about people that walk in the door and say, what's going on here? Looks like a cute little meeting. Can I join? Yes. What is the meeting? Istagosthi. Oh, ghosts? You're talking about ghost stories? No. Istagosthi means circle of cowards. Sit down. And we're going to talk about ourselves as spirit soul, not ourselves as the material body. Oh, really? That's interesting. You mean it's psychic? No, dude, it's way beyond psychic. Psychic is still, it's a subtle material body. We're talking about the soul, who is the eternal part and parcel of God. I mean, the soul is created by God. No, the soul is not created by God. The soul is part of God. Anyhow, you get the picture, right?
Yeah.
Mahaprabhu, did that resonate with you?
Yes, Prabhu.
Did you catch the distinctions?
Yes, Prabhu.
All of them?
Most.
Yeah, if you say you got them, then I'm going to ask you, then give a 15-minute dissertation on the topic.
If I wasn't driving, I would attempt to.
Well, don't do anything while you're driving except drive.
All right.
Excuse me for a moment. I'm going
Haribol.
to become invisible for a moment.
How was everybody doing tonight?
Doing fine.
Great. Jai, Mohit Prabhu in the house. Prabhu, welcome. Prabhu, we haven't.
Right.
Prabhu. Haribol.
Mohit, Hare Krishna, Mohit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Rama Rama.
Elizabeth Mataji wanted to say something. She got interrupted.
Oh, I was just saying I had a good day, thanks.
Jai.
Fantastic. A Krishna day.
Yeah.
Haribol. Krishna Jai.
All right. It's always nice to tap into Krishna during the day.
Yes.
There's nothing like tapping in. You're already tapped in.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Are you able to use your cell phone to go and catch Prabhupada pastimes?
Haven't had a chance lately.
Well, you can ask Ramachandra how to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, I love the videos that he posts and that he shares with us.
Tap into them, but if you're working, you could just have a lecture going on and in between clients.
Easier said than done.
Right. You're busy from morning till night.
Costco's a busy place.
Yeah. It's my favorite busy place. One of the things I like about Costco best is their hearing aid department.
Mm-hmm.
Shravanam, hearing, is the first.
Shravanam, yes.
Yeah. The first.
So you're the Shravanamacharya.
That's why his name, Chidananda gave him the name Mahaprabhu Das.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I miss him.
Yeah, you can call Chidananda Prabhu. He's in our group. So
Who is?
Chidananda Prabhu? Chidananda.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, Chidananda. He's wonderful.
He's on during the day, I bet.
Yeah,
And say hello to him for me.
I will.
Thank you, Ramachandra Prabhu.
Okay. 8:50. Yes, Narayan Prabhu. So you are making that point about Srila Prabhupada, and I was also thinking that these unnecessary gurus that have initiated many and hundreds of devotees, it seems like their disciples don't have that much potency to do anything substantial. It seems, at least to me, especially
Well, it
in a
doesn't
group.
matter because they've chosen to accept these unnecessary initiators and they are satisfied with the relationship. The thing the initiators should understand is that insofar as the disciple surrenders to them, they take on the karma of their disciple.
Huh.
And it gets worse if the guru leaves his position.
Please.
The only hope for these initiators is to rectify themselves and actually declare themselves to be the disciple of their disciples. In other words, they have to say, I am here to, I'm not here for you to serve me. I am here to serve you. And then they can start unwinding the disaster that they've created for themselves.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very good point.
But we don't have to worry too much about them. You know, it's easy enough to say, oh, these gurus, all these initiators, all these bogus, all these whatever. It's just a waste of our breath to say that.
Huh.
If they're chanting Hare Krishna, they're not wasting their time. And if people want to worship them, it's not directly their fault. It's the ignorance and foolishness of the people that worship them. What we need to concentrate on is going back to where the buck stopped. You know, Harry Truman used to have a sign on his desk saying, the buck stops here. You know, passing the buck means it goes down the line. You pass the buck, meaning that the next guy's responsible, the next guy's responsible. So Harry Truman, the president of the United States after Roosevelt, put a little sign on his desk saying, the buck stops here. You know, if everybody's passing the buck, come to me. It stops here. It will be resolved here. Yeah?
The buck stops here.
Yeah. So the buck stops with Prabhupada.
Right.
How does that work? He is an acharya. The last acharya after Bhaktisiddhanta. The last Uttama Adhikari after Bhaktisiddhanta. People can argue themselves into circles around the nectar of instruction, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and say, well, but a Kanishta Adhikari can accept disciples and Madhyam can too, you know. They can do that. Why not? If there's disciples willing to accept insufficient guidance, why not do it? But the point is, if you want the last authentic acharya, the last authentic acharya is Srila Prabhupada. And now, people like Krishna Balaram Swami, well, I'm the next acharya after Prabhupada. Okay, and what are you going to offer and give to us that Prabhupada did not give yet? Well, I know everything in Vrindavan language, and I didn't mess up the translation. That's not the point. all the books are doing is showing us the need for chanting. In other words, if you read through Prabhupada's books, you'll end up with what is called Siddhanta, or conclusion. Bhakti Siddhanta meant the conclusion of bhakti. What is the Siddhanta? Chant Hare Krishna. So the Siddhanta is not the book, it's not the teaching, it's not the initiation. The Siddhanta is chanting. And in what style or means of chanting? Oh, there's no hard and fast rules. You can chant any damn way you please. Sure, go ahead and see where you end up at the time of death. You want to do anything you damn please, then the word damn will become predominant in your hereafter. No, you have to chant to please your spiritual master.
But you're saying that it doesn't matter how they chant. In one sense, they're chanting Hare Krishna with the unnecessary gurus, and they're chanting Hare Krishna, but here you're making a distinction here. So why two
yes,
standards?
But remember, they're also hearing Prabhupada on tapes. They hear Prabhupada japa.
Oh, yes, they are.
Well, put it this way, chanting the melodies that the unnecessary initiators are presenting and their so-called kirtanista big shots that get paid to chant.
Right.
Professional Bhagavad reciters, Prabhupada called them.
Right.
Except they're not even on that level. They're just kirtan reciters, which puts them right up there with the bowels of Bengal, B-A-U-L, it's not B-O-W-L-E-S, and the prostitutes, meaning also eunuchs, chant. They're in the Bengali fishermen chant, but they're not hearing from the lips of the pure devotee of the Lord. I mean, what could be more clear? Prabhupada said that chanting should be hid from the lips of the pure devotee of the Lord for full effect to be achieved. Chanting from the lips of non-devotees should be avoided as much as milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effect. Okay, so if they hear from Prabhupada and they go off and chant some other way, they're deliberately adopting the milk touched by the lips of a serpent. By what measure can you say that the disciple listens to the spiritual master and then does something completely different and then says there's no hard and fast rule? Therefore, I can do it completely different. Well, if hard and fast rules meant you could do everything completely different, it wouldn't be possible to have a spiritual master. What would you have a spiritual master for? Just that you can do something, when he teaches you something, you can do something completely different? You might as well not bother with the spiritual master, just do something completely different to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's stated clearly, you accept everything from the spiritual master and you reject nothing from the spiritual master. He's an acharya. He teaches by example. Ergo, you're the disciple. You learn by example. This idea that the holy name is some sort of Jesus, like praising Jesus. Once you praise Jesus' name, you don't need Jesus himself. You got his name. That's not the way it is, boys and girls. That's just not it. The sound vibration coming from the pure devotee cannot be mixed, adulterated, changed, or altered in any way. The fact that people are chanting other melodies and they're not going to hell, presumably, is simply because the holy name is in there somewhere, but they're not going to make the type of advancement that will spread this movement into every town and village.
Mm. Mm.
If we want the movement to go to every town and village, we have to represent the Acharya as he is. And it's very, very easy to do that. Get some headphones, plug them into your cell phone. Oh, who's that chanting? It doesn't sound like Jaipataka. It doesn't sound like Giriraj. It doesn't sound like Jayatirtha or Bhavananda. Who could that person chanting be? Oh, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada? Him? But there's no hard and fast rules for chanting. Why should I learn the way he chants? Doesn't that sound ridiculous? We're going to chant like Bhavananda? Why no hard and fast rules? No hard and fast rules is there in the Istagosthi of Lord Chaitanya. But the meaning is transparently clear to anyone except a complete idiot, of which ISKCON seems to have a disproportionate number of complete idiots. It doesn't take Einstein or a degree in philosophy or a degree in mathematics or a degree in anything to understand what is meant by no hard and fast rules. Simply put, Lord Chaitanya broke open the storehouse of love of God. The walls of that storehouse that were broken were the hard and fast rules. Is anyone too stupid to understand that? The hard and fast rules were present. Lord Chaitanya broke open the storehouse. The storehouse was then flooded the land. Those who were devotees, they floated. Those who were drowned. Those who were devotees, they drowned. Those who were not devotees, who were going for In-N-Out Burger and McDonald's, those, they floated. Floated. And we don't know our good fortune. How much of it is due to Lord Chaitanya's floating process. Otherwise, everyone would be still in the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages ended when Lord Chaitanya broke open the storehouse of love of God in Bengal. Then Europe, England, France, everywhere. Suddenly, we had what is called the born-again experience, called the Renaissance. Renaissance means rebirth. Right?
Yeah.
Well, Lord Chaitanya flooded the land. Well, the land is round, right? Or so they say. I'm not going to get into it. But if the land is anything approaching anything, when he overflooded the land, it went to England and Germany everywhere. They couldn't understand it. They were too busy eating pigs and deer and geese to be able to understand the blessing. But the blessing came out in beautiful clothing that they wore. They took up lutes and played gorgeous music that was loving and very godly for the most part. Either that or very loving on the romantic level, but romantic on the loving on the romantic human level is also pious, better than being brutal and keeping the wife as a slave. So they did. They wallowed in the goodness of Lord Chaitanya's energy, even in England. You know, there's a Renaissance song, "Come again, sweet love doth now invite." Dun, 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 dun. Isn't that better than the gruesome music they used to chant in the cathedrals at that time? It's light and it's populous. That's England. John Dowland, the English writer of Renaissance music. So anyhow, let's get back to no hard and fast rules. Let's make it a dictum. This should be on our website. No hard and fast rules refers to the fact that when Lord Chaitanya broke down the storehouse of love of God, when the storehouse was broken, it was no longer contained by rules. Now you might say, well, what happened before Lord Chaitanya broke down the storehouse of love of God, the walls? It was to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you had to have 20 initiations. It was a secret of all secrets. It's like being a highest degree Mason, that sort of secrecy. So it was broken down and it's flooded the land. Let's remember that. Let's not remember that. Let's live it. Let's live the holy name flooding the land. Every town and village of the land, including England. So that we have to go back and tell the people that have changed the melodies, change them back to Prabhupada so that you do not suffer horribly in your next goddamn life, in your next suffering birth. Can you imagine showing up at the court of Yamaraj? You said, well, you followed the regulative principles. That's good. You were faithful to your wife and you raised your children as devotees. That's wonderful. And all these other nice things. You listened to Bhagavad-Gita. You learned to, you played Mridanga really badly, I must say, and you changed Prabhupada's books and read for them to people, misleading them with the wrong sound vibration and the wrong heart energy. But so how come you are here in the court of Yamaraj? You're supposed to be with the Narayana Dutas. Well, let's look at the Akashic record. What the heck did you do to get here? Oh, you said there's no hard and fast rules for chanting. And you twisted that, contorted that to mean you can chant any damned Bollywood, rock and roll, whatever garbage melody. Oh, give him 20 lifetimes of hard labor until he learns the difference between the Mahamantra being freed by Lord Chaitanya, so there are no longer rules for accessing it, and you can chant any melody that a prostitute from Hong Kong is wanting to sing on stage. Does that work? Have I scared everyone? I hope.
You scared everyone at ISKCON of Sacramento, so why not here also?
I want to scare everybody. I want to scare all the good guys. I want to scare the so-called Ritviks. I want to scare the unnecessary initiators. I don't care. If you don't care that you're taking on the karma of everyone you initiate, then I don't care. Go for it. Enjoy yourself in living through that karma that others gave to you, that you couldn't get rid of because you're not a pure devotee. You're not an Uttamadhikari. You can't dissolve it the way Prabhupada could.
Yeah.
But do not dare to change the melody of the last Acharya in the line of disciplic succession before Kalki comes and gives your neck what your neck apparently deserves.
Yeah.
That's what will happen. Kalki will see you chanting not non-Prabhupada melodies, he will gallop up on his horse and say, "Oh, I see you're bowing down to me because I'm an incarnation of Krishna. That makes it easier." Whack across your head. So that's how ferocious we need to be. Not me. I don't need to be ferocious. I'm just a little sweet old elderly chap, right? I want you to be ferocious. Please. If you want my advice, nay. If you want my instruction, nay. If you want me to give you a command, prevent anyone from chanting a melody that Prabhupada did not inaugurate, accompanied by a mridanga beat that Prabhupada taught, and kartal playing, and dancing like Prabhupada. Why? When you sway back and forth, your legs and arms go opposite directions every time you bend. Which chakra becomes isolated in that process? Ask any yoga teacher. Doesn't have to be a devotee yoga teacher, just ask any yoga teacher. Which chakra becomes isolated by this type of dance? Oh, the heart chakra? You get a prize. Yes, it's the heart chakra. So if the heart chakra is moving when you dance, imagine what will happen to the quality of your kirtan. And remember, Paramatma is in your heart, and you're chanting in your heart, and Paramatma is guiding you to chant in your heart. Instead of sitting there looking like you're having intercourse with the microphone stand, dance like Prabhupada. There's a devotee that actually does that. Tempted to throw something at him. Can you imagine?
In Los Angeles.
It's completely conspicuous too.
Must be a crazy fellow.
I'm sorry?
He must be a crazy fellow.
No, he's an upstanding leader of the temple.
Upstanding leader of the temple?
How else can he get to lead kirtan?
Oh.
They certainly won't invite me to lead kirtan because I'm not an upstanding member of the temple.
You're a band member of the temple.
I'm sorry?
You're the band, BANNED.
Yeah. Oh, they're the band.
You banned them, right?
I banned them. So there was one, Bhagavad-Gita kept begging me to come to the morning program. I said, I can't. It disgusts me. They don't know how to chant properly.
Bhagavad-Gita.
On the, Samsara Dava Natalita Loka. It's been chanted for decades. They can't do it properly.
You told Bhagavad-Gita.
So finally, Bhagavad-Gita convinced me to come and said, I will lead the kirtan. I will do it properly. And he did. He used the melody. But then when he came to, that part, Shri Radhika Madhavayorapara Madhurya Lila Gunarupanam. They don't go up on that. Can't they understand that's Radharani? Shri Radhika is Radharani. Madhavayorapara. Madhurya Lila. Think of the words.
You should have corrected him.
They go up on some other verse.
You didn't correct him? Be like, Prabhu, you sang it very nicely, but this part you boo-booed a little bit.
I never went back again.
He didn't ask you again?
Oh, he's always asking me. I got it right this time. I say, you got it right this time? Do you know what my remark is? Right.
He's an old friend of mine too,
Yeah, why should I go? If the people can't understand the sacredness of the melody, the delivery of the melody, the mridanga beat, the kartal beat, the dance step, if they don't understand any of that, then why should I go?
Right. Joy.
It's sort of like a kindergarten teacher going to the kindergarten class. And when the class is over, the kids come up with a mortarboard, a graduation cap and robe, and say, "Well, can you, teacher, now can you give me my PhD?" I said, "Why did you invite me here?" "Because we wanted you to be the one to give us our PhD. You just graduated from kindergarten. You have a ways to go before you get your PhD." This is how disgusting it is.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the truth? The truth is Prabhupada. Okay, I got off on a rant. Let's get back to the point. Prabhupada is the last person to utter the holy name of Krishna as uttered by Radharani, or Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani. Lord Prabhupada is the only person to chant the Maha Mantra by Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani in a way that will flood the land.
Aye.
Devotees making a point of doing it differently by claiming no hard and fast rules have harmed the process.
Has anybody ever been extracized from Krishna consciousness or from ISKCON? Kicked out, in a sense?
For doing what?
For doing what is not right.
Oh yeah, tons.
Tons. They
Yeah.
weren't allowed into the temples anymore.
No.
How does that work?
Well, the GBC has a meeting in Mayapur every year. They have a list of people they want to ban, and so they ban them.
That's
Then
it.
they get a restraining order or a document from a CPA or something like that, and they bring it and give it to that person. You're no longer a devotee. You can no longer allowed to use your spiritual name, and you can no longer go into the temple or go
Wow.
anywhere near Krishna conscious, temple property.
Did they put a restraining order on you too? Or no?
What?
Did they have a restraining order on you?
Yes.
Oh, they do?
Of course.
Yes.
Oh my God.
For doing
Yes.
what?
Romapod arranged for me to be de-ISKCONized. I'm no longer, they banned me from ISKCON, and they said that they retracted my spiritual name given me by Prabhupada.
No, I mean, they can say whatever they want, but do they really have a restraining order against you?
Yeah,
They showed it to you?
I saw it. I probably
saw-
own it. I probably have it somewhere.
Oh my God.
But the thing is, who the hell is going to restrain Narayana Das Vishwakarma, who built the damn temple they want to restrain me from?
That's
Hare
funny.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Who carved the deities in the temple they want to restrain me from?
Wow.
So this is ISKCON for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh my, this is funny.
to call it an oxymoron is to give oxen a bad name.
That's the highlight of the day, yeah?
Yes.
How do you
So
feel
they said,
about that?
Narayan, do you realize you've been banned by the GBC? I said, I banned them years ago. I mean, who has the right to ban? If you stop to look at it, I have seniority of practically everybody.
Yeah.
It's very few people. And every day or every week or every month, I get closer to the top of this venerable stack of original devotees.
Hare Krishna.
There's not that many that were initiated before me that haven't yet croaked.
Damn right.
They're all clocking out one by one.
So yeah, I mean, what do they say? I think they even claimed that I could no longer use the name, spiritual name given me by Prabhupada. And so I told them I have a document signed by Prabhupada giving me the spiritual name. To their credit, they didn't ask me to give it to them so they could burn it.
They know you're not going to give it to them anyways.
Anyhow, so that surprised you that I was banned?
Banned and a restraining order.
Yeah, actually, Rupa Manjari, I think, wasn't she? Is Rupa Manjari still there?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm here.
Weren't you present when I was banned?
Yeah, he
Tell, why am I telling about it? I'm boasting. You talk about it.
Yeah, what's going on?
well, we were in Govinda's restaurant and Bhagavat Kripa Das dropped a stack of papers in front of you and said, "You're served."
You're served. Wow.
I thought Govinda's was self-service.
You're served. Wow. Served what? What? You're going to serve me some dinner or what? A piece of paper?
So what did he serve me? Was it sweet rice or was it halava?
Nothing so pleasant, unfortunately.
So tell everybody about it. I've been sitting here.
Yeah, you know the whole story, Rupa Manjari. Why are you hiding all this nectar in you?
Yes.
Well, I told you, I said that's what happened. He served in the papers. And Narayan, you said something in response. I'm just something about service. Like you, it was very clever.
What did I say?
Paraphrase.
Something like something about service. I can't remember.
Oh wow! So this was 2010 or something, right? Or 2015, something like that.
No, it was like
If he said that you're served, I probably said you cannot serve me. I am your humble servant. I must serve you.
Brilliant.
something like that. This was,
That's
I
brilliant.
think, in 2011,
2000.
2012, something
Okay,
like that.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. 2010, 2011. Okay, wow. So, but still, wow. So it's very.
So what did the papers say? You must have seen them.
They were.
Probably just banning you from the place.
It might have actually had something to do with the BBT lawsuit, but I'm my memory is
I was
fuzzy.
served that on those two.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. Anyways, that's all history now. But you know, that's pretty interesting how ISKCON works. And they serve their own members very nicely.
And Narayan, do you remember you talked with Gopal Bhatta about your initiation, and he told you that it was revoked?
Well, tell it. You probably have a better memory than I do.
That's all I remember.
Oh, okay. Acha. Gopal Bhatta. That's a nice name he has.
He's a horrible person.
Oh. Horrible person.
So what was it he said?
You've been de-initialized.
Yeah. He told you that your initiation was revoked.
Revoked by the GBC.
Yeah.
Or revoked by Gopal Bhatta. It's like, it's like you have a father, but then, some third person comes and says, oh, your father no longer claims that you're his son.
And Gopal Bhatta is a criminal. He like he got rich off of like taking companies and like draining the money out of them, and drives a flashy red sports car.
And cheated his partners.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, are we coming to an end, Rupa Manjari Prabhu? What's the time looking like?
Oh, it's only 9:30.
We started about
So
8
why
o'clock.
don't we, as they say these days, circle back to Prabhupada?
Right. Let's circle back and circle out for tonight.
Yeah. That Prabhupada is the last acharya, pure devotee acharya in the Sampradaya. I don't think that any of the other, the what you call them, the initiators. I don't think any of the initiators claim to be the next acharya in the Sampradaya, except
Tamal.
Well, yeah, Tamal, but I was going to say, except Krishna Balaram Swami.
See,
But
all the
He's
unnecessary
very
gurus.
easy to exfoliate.
No, all the unnecessary gurus like Jayapataka, Giriraj, Vaisheshika, everyone else, they belong to an institution, so they cannot claim that to be the successor acharya, and they have tried that already, and it didn't work. And
Yeah,
because
they can't, because they can be taken out by the GBC.
yes, so
If you're an acharya, who has the power but Krishna to take you out?
right, and Krishna took out all of them, the original 12 or whatever.
Yeah, are they all
Pataka
dead?
was one of the original 12.
Yeah, he is, and he's been taken out too, more or less.
Has he?
Well, he had that double brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, but what has that got to do with his being an acharya?
He's been taken out as an acharya. If he was an acharya, then acharya.
He's no longer initiating?
He is initiating. He's still initiating.
How can he be taken out as an acharya?
I mean, health-wise, if he was the acharya, what's going on? Look at him. He's just basically, holding.
A blob.
Yes, basically.
Well, look at Jagannath Das Babaji. He was paralyzed, and they used to carry him around in a basket.
Yeah, that's a good point. But he was dancing. But Jayapataka is not dancing in ecstasy.
Well, different strokes for different folks.
Different strokes for different folks.
His thing, instead of dancing, he sits there with a wire sticking out of his mouth.
and Jagannath Das Babaji was 130 years old or something. He was not.
Yeah. So, Rupa
72
Manjari, why not tell everybody how you dealt with Jayapataka when he came to Los Angeles?
Oh, he did? She did?
I don't remember. You tell it.
Come on. How can you not remember all these wonderful
You told me that you wanted to make conscious contact with him to let him know that you understood that he was not an actual guru and an actual acharya. And you pursued him into different contexts and did that. And it made him extremely uncomfortable. Rupa Manjari didn't do anything egregious or untoward. She just went there and looked at him severely. But with a truth, with "you can't fool me, I know the truth" look in her face. And he got very shaken by that. I sort of figured he might be on the verge of another aneurysm.
Yeah, wow.
Wasn't that before his double brain hemorrhage?
Either double or triple.
It was a double.
Isn't it the what you call it? What's the name of that vein?
In the head?
I
In the
forget.
head?
What?
a vein in the head?
In the neck going to the head.
Oh, carotid.
Yeah, that's what people say, cartoid or carotid, depending on who they are.
Carotene. No, I'm just kidding.
Uh-huh.
I always said cartoid because that's what it looks like to me, but like, that's not the way most people pronounce it. Yeah, that's the one. You got it. The nail on the vein in the head.
Everyone has met Jay Pataka here except Mahaprabhu. I haven't met him at the airplane. You saw the picture, right, Narayan Prabhu?
Yeah.
Yeah. At 35,000 feet or something like that. He could have initiated me in the airplane.
Well, in the picture, it looked more like he was going to turn to you and say, "You look pretty amazing. Would you give me initiation, whoever you are?"
Yeah.
You look like you could be my Diksha Guru. I thought you had a Diksha Guru. Yeah, but my brain, I had these aneurysms in the carotid artery, and I don't remember who he is anymore. Oh, isn't it Srila Prabhupada? Oh, Prabhupada?
Who's that?
I don't know. I mean, if he's a pure devotee, how could I poison him? Doesn't that sort of prove he's not a pure devotee if you can poison him? You should have sat there breathing fire, smoking everybody into the, do what Balaram did to Ramakrishna. But they don't understand the subtleties of Vaishnava etiquette,
Right.
which Prabhupada knew beyond measure because he's not from earth, he's not from Bengal, he's not from a family, he's not a human being. He came from Krishna Loka.
Jai.
So anyhow, getting back to it. So you have the flood of Lord Chaitanya's moving come up. There are inarticulate, less than perfectly healthy acharyas like Jagannath Das Babaji. And what about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji? You could say he was not even verbally articulate. That he was a strange person, to say the least. And so, I mean, that's not the thing. That's not the distinction. It's the identity of the person that counts. But getting up to Prabhupada, then I think I'm calling, and I'm asking all of us on this call here, calling on this call, that we establish that Prabhupada gave the best version of the Hare Krishna mantra, which means we have to get past the no hard and fast rules heresy. It is a heresy. You have to get back to, we have to write it down. The no hard and fast rules heresy does not apply to what Prabhupada did. You hear from the spiritual master, you repeat. But no one can repeat on the same level as Prabhupada. Transparent via medium from Lord Chaitanya through a line of perfectly transparent acharyas is not the same thing as Bhakta Joe, who was selling heroin by the street corner in New York with long hair and a beard, and then he shaved up and he became a disciple of Prabhupada and chants Hare Krishna. That's wonderful that he's chants Hare Krishna. A great improvement over selling heroin on the street corner.
Right.
However, that does not make him an acharya.
Yeah, that's my contention. These unnecessary gurus at one time, they were either on LSD or this and this, but after Srila Prabhupada left, they became successor acharyas. That's like totally.
Yeah, but they can't take that seriously. I mean, only way they can take that seriously is by dragging the qualification of charya down,
right?
Not by lifting the disciple up.
Yeah.
The acharya should be able to lift the disciple up beyond his wildest imagination.
Yeah, and Srila Prabhupada.
When I talk with Visheshika in a social situation, I've never seen him on an osana, When I talked to him at Rath Yatra, for instance, he took me all over the Rath Yatra place looking for the place selling his books. And he gave me one of his books and he signed it for me.
Okay.
It was like a friend. What my friend and well-wisher, not an acharya, not a spiritual guide, not a pure devotee. Okay, so we need to make that distinction. If you want to be a Kanistha Adhikari guru, you're giving insufficient guidance by Shastra says, Rupa Goswami, who is actually Rupa Manjari in the spiritual world, says that it's insufficient guidance and she should know. She's one of the final stages, recording everything that happens in Krishna Loka. She's the final arbiter before Lalita and Vishaka as to the bona fide quality of a pure devotee. She's the expert. And if she writes insufficient guidance, then you better believe it. How can a person from Krishna Loka come down and write a book for people like you and me? That is an astonishing event, no? She doesn't write books. She's in Krishna Loka. She came down as Rupa Goswami and wrote the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's not even a miracle. It is beyond anything conceivable as a miracle. It's beyond an act of God. Because God can do what he pleases. But why would the servant of Krishna, the intimate servant of Krishna, why would she make it clear that the Kanistha Adhikari Guru is insufficient guidance?
Right here, it says,
Yeah.
Insufficient guidance.
Insufficient guidance.
And it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttam Adhikari as a spiritual master. There you go.
So we're dealing with this, but we're dealing with mainly what I feel.
No.
I'm dealing with my misconceptions that I've lived with for 50 years.
What do you mean, your misconceptions?
I believed ISKCON was a thing. Now I see ISKCON is a process that isn't a thing.
Can you elaborate? Elaborate, please. Elaborate.
I see the devotees. I don't see the devotees as devotees. I do. I see the devotees as neophyte devotees on the Kanistha Adhikari platform. Not a problem. I never did that until we came to these conversations.
Achha.
So the devotees in ISKCON are Kanistha Adhikaris and doing quite well as such, considering where they came from, which is from hell, or a hellish future.
Right.
So the Kanistha Adhikaris, that's fine. But I never saw that everybody is a Kanistha Adhikari. I just said, that's a devotee, I'm a devotee, she's a devotee, they're devotees, I like devotees, I want a devotee association, I want to come to a devotee's house and take prasadam. I didn't realize that was all on the bodily concept of life.
That's the distinction here you're coming to.
Huge distinction.
Yeah, huge.
What if you give up the bodily conception of life?
Right. Yeah.
But we have a hard time doing it, don't we?
Certainly. Yeah.
So we have to, at least with our words, not succumb to using language what applies to people and what they do and in their bodies. We have to consider everything from the point of view of spirit soul. Not just us, but them. If you have a Kanistha initiator, unnecessary initiator, look at him as spirit soul. Then you can talk to him. Otherwise, he's a bogus guru. He's just, he's part of the full of crap. In fact, I know what he did in the past. He touched that girl. Now he's being questioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
That's pointless.
mhm.
All of this is pointless. He did that because he's in the bodily concept of life. No business being a guru.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because when these gurus come around, usually I go on walks with them and stuff, and they tell
Yeah,
me,
we can go on walks with them.
yeah, that's what I
But
do.
we
Like,
should go on walks as spirit soul, not
Yes.
as devotees.
yes, yes,
We have to stop looking at ourselves as devotees.
hmm.
Why? Jiva is constitutionally a devotee of Krishna.
Yes,
No more devotee of ISKCON, no more devotee on earth, no more human being devotee.
huh.
We have to give it up.
Give it up. Right.
Yes,
Aham
no
Brahmasmi.
more. It's hard to do because we have friends, family. It's
Right.
all human interactions.
Yeah,
And if they're
yeah,
devotees, the human interaction is laced with Prabhupada Kata, with Bhagavad-Gita,
bodily
with verses
conception of
from
life.
here and there. It's all very nice,
Eating
but it
together.
doesn't get us where we're going.
Yeah,
It does, gradually. It's better than not doing it, put it that way. It is Kanista Adhikari. That's the platform. It's a horizontal platform for sure. Me to you and you to him and them and that's fine. Because you to him is Hare Krishna Prabhu. You're my master, I think. Like that, But we have to give it up. In this session, in this Istagosthi, and for the League for 10K, we have to give it up or we're not going to get anywhere.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking because all this time I've been suffering from the bodily conception of life and associating with devotees, this and that, and the sentimental feeling,
And making friends with devotees.
yeah, and that
And making friends with devotees is recommended in Shastra.
yes, yes. So it's kind of double-edged sword
We
kind
have
of
to
thing.
reject that instruction.
Yeah,
Not reject it, but transcend it.
Yeah, transcended, not rejected, right? Transcended. We have to.
Because you want to be friends to a devotee from the spiritual platform,
Yeah.
then you become their spiritual guide and benefactor,
Right, right.
not just pals.
Yeah, many times we're just pals. That's it, And bodily conception of life relationships. Eat together, distribute books
Yeah.
together.
So then if we eat together, we have to eat into the energy of the prasadam, not the taste. The taste, the taste has the energy of the prasadam in it. So we can relish it, but not as food. We relish it from the point of view of who has cooked it, who has offered it.
Try.
As a offering, as a spiritual thing, not as a substitute for Subway sandwich. A spiritual Subway sandwich. No.
Yeah. A
Okay,
good.
so back we go again, right up to Prabhupada. He's the last acharya. He is the last authority on the pure sound vibration of the holy name, unless somebody can come forward and demonstrate that they have learned perfectly as the next acharya chanting the holy name. But the only person claiming to be the next acharya per se is someone who I don't think probably chants all that well.
Wow, yeah, we have come to a very crucial point that how people
Yes.
identify with their bodies and their groups and
Yeah.
all
But they
these
don't
things.
care how he chants. They just care that he's authentic guru, can give me diksha and can give me a blessing and I will go to see him and it will be a good thing for me to do to see him, and it will help me when I need help.
Huh.
Why? You're already going back to Godhead. You've heard Prabhupada chant. You've heard someone who learned from Prabhupada chant Hare Krishna. You are going back to Godhead. This you and I and all of us need to grasp. If we're going back to Godhead, then why do we need a guru?
You
We
don't.
have our
need a guru.
Acharya, Prabhupada, but why do we need someone after Prabhupada? I said, well, who's going to do the fire sacrifice? The same person that does the Anaprasana ceremony, the same person that does the Shraddha ceremony. Why not?
To
Yeah.
to guide our
Well, who's going to
material body.
authorize? Well,
To
who
guide, yeah.
authorized? Who authorized who became a devotee? But in 1968, does anyone know the answer?
No.
Are you sure? I'm waiting for someone to say Prabhupada.
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 No.
That's very wrong.
Waiting
That's
for
what-
someone to say that. The answer is no.
Krishna.
The
It's you.
temple president wrote to Prabhupada saying, I recommend this person for initiation. Here are his beads in the mail. And Prabhupada would give a spiritual name, says his name is such and so. I chanted on his beads.
Jai.
Then Prabhupada said, the GBC or somebody like that can chant on the beads because it was too much difficulty. Can you imagine if he had 5,000 disciples, he wouldn't be doing anything but chanting on beads, and he still wouldn't get through all the beads to chant on. So he delegated to the temple president or to the GBC. So if the GBC is elected, that's one thing. Prabhupada worked with the non-elected GBCs, said they can chant. That's a different issue, can be solved in a different day. But when you go nowadays, in the post-Acharya mode, the temple president can recommend, and the temple president or the pujari or the person that does the fire sacrifice, you can call him a Ritvik for Prabhupada, or you can call him a Ritvik for the temple president, which is more accurate. And he can do it. He can chant on the beads and perform the sacred fire
Jai.
because every temple requires. So what gives you that extra oomph that was there when Prabhupada did those things? First of all, when did he do those things? He did it for a couple of years. After that, it was all done by mail.
Yes.
You can say, but it was touched by the hand of a pure devotee. Well, what is the difference between the physical birth hand that has fingers and bones, just like mine does? What's the difference between his touching the bead and the pujari touching the bead? And the thing is, well, he's a pure devotee. If the pujari does this as Prabhupada's disciple himself, then there's no difference between the pujari touching and Prabhupada touching.
Jai.
And if Prabhupada ended up having the pujaris or somebody chant on the beads, recommend the name, then the only thing Prabhupada ever did at the end was give them spiritual names, which is not the most important thing.
Hmm.
Your spiritual name distinguishes you from your birth name,
Jai.
and it's a good thing. But it's not that your spiritual name has to be given by an Uttama Adhikari. Not if you're going to have a movement that has millions of people in it. You say, but what about all of the unnecessary gurus? Can't they chant? Sure, they can chant, but why be a guru and chant? Just chant because you're a senior devotee. Then you ask yourself, what do the unnecessary gurus or initiators do if they're not unnecessary initiators? Well, presumably to become a guru, successor acharya of whatever they are, Ritviks of the GBC, we should say, that their role is to guide their senior devotees. Now, in a temple, can't you have a dozen senior devotees? You could have 24 senior devotees. Is one of them taking on your karma? No, the karma is taken on by the sacred fire. Bovitrava, abovitra, bovitrava. Which means either purified or unpurified. You are approaching the sacred fire.
Right.
And through the sacred fire, you become purified. Now you might say, well, doesn't it have to be done by a pure devotee? No, it's done by pure mantras that we received from the pure devotee. Abovitra, Bovitrava was not made up by Srila Prabhupada. It's the initiation mantra. It's also the wedding mantra. It's also the Shraddha ceremony mantra. It's also the Prasana ceremony mantra. In other words, in every state, we invoke Krishna as representing Krishna mystically. We are the representative of Krishna, whoever is doing this service. Whoever gives initiation is representing Krishna. He doesn't have to be a formalized. Did you hear what I said earlier? Ritvik of the GBC. Why is the initiators Ritviks? Because they're initiating in behalf of the GBC. So they're not Ritviks of Prabhupada, they're Ritviks of the GBC. Does that click?
Yeah, because they've been authorized by someone else who's the boss.
Exactly.
Yes.
The Ritvik is acting in behalf of others.
Yes.
So instead of representative of the Acharya, we can say representative of the GBC, which is, I think, what they call them.
What's a Ritvik?
Ritvik means actually, literally, a Ritvik is the first son of a certain type of caste of Brahmin who is qualified to do certain types of work in behalf of the service of the Lord. What Ritvik has come to mean, and because that word is such an attractive word, that even the Muslims name their firstborn sons Ritvik often enough. So it's not as though it's an especially sacred word, it's just a certain word. Now, what does it mean in ISKCON? Or what did Tamal Krishna wanted to mean in ISKCON? That the Ritvik initiates in behalf of someone else.
Like a priest?
Yes, exactly like a priest. The Ritvik is a priest acting in behalf of the host, acting in behalf of the Holy Spirit, acting in behalf of Jesus himself, acting in behalf of Jehovah. Whatever he's acting in behalf of, he's a priest, right?
How does one become a Ritvik?
Oh, there's no such category right now. Because a Ritvik has to be, well, a Ritvik has to be a Brahmin. He has to be worthy of respect as a Brahmin. He must be pure. So what happened is that when Prabhupada took sannyas, he was initiated by a Ritvik initiator. He was given sannyas by his godbrother, Keshava Maharaj, but the Ritvik was named Narayan Maharaj, who performed the fire sacrifice.
Sannyas, define, please.
Prabhupada took sannyas. So you might say Ritvik was acting, he was a Ritvik for Keshava, his own guru. Narayan was a disciple of Keshava, and he acted as the Ritvik because Keshava didn't want to sit on the ground putting twigs in the sacred fire. Narayan Maharaj, being an absolute rascal, went on to say that he was actually Prabhupada's guru because sannyas is the main initiation, and that he performed Prabhupada's fire sacrifice. Therefore, and because he took sannyas 7 years before Prabhupada did, then he's actually Prabhupada's guru and 7 years senior to Prabhupada, even though Narayan Maharaj is 25 years younger than Prabhupada. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So can you imagine the egregiousness of a person that did that?
All right. I think we have come to
So
Prabhupada.
we're
again.
getting close to the moment of Rupa Manjari.
Cutting us off.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
we
that.
have 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, that's
Rupa Manjari
she's
Dasi.
like Ernest Hemingway.
She is beautiful.
Ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee.
Whatever that
So
means.
ask not for whom the session is coming to a close. It's coming to a close for thee.
Hare Krishna.
So anyhow, do you see those distinctions? And I feel that those distinctions are not understood by anyone, including myself. I talk about them, I believe it, I can even say I realize it, but my habits throughout life are different than that.
Yes.
We have to make it so crystal clear
Yes.
that
There's no
Prabhupada
second.
is the last sound vibration that utters the holy name authentically.
Right. Yeah, this will clear up all the clouds, the fog, everything.
People will say, but don't need a guru to go back to Godhead. And the answer is yes, you have Prabhupada uttering the holy name, but if you hear the holy name, you don't need a Diksha guru to give you the holy name.
Right.
Well, Prabhupada gave you the holy name. Well, actually, Prabhupada didn't give me the holy name. I got it by listening to Kirtan with Prabhupada in the Kirtan.
Right.
I heard it from a dozen people. So how can you say you have to hear it from Prabhupada? Well, they heard it from Prabhupada. Yes. And then I heard it from them.
Right.
So what's the big deal? They don't become gurus just so I can hear them chant Hare Krishna. So that's where we have to distinguish and leave the conversation tonight, really, I believe, is that the Prabhupada is the last authentic sound vibration of the holy name. And he published so many records, so it's not as though people could say, well, he's gone and nobody can ever hear him again. You can. And the disciples can deliver the holy name, not perfectly as Prabhupada did, but substantially. And anytime you chant the holy name at all in the presence of animals, trees, birds, etc., maggots, horses and donkeys, anytime you chant Hare Krishna in front of them, even if it's slightly imperfect, it will deliver them at some future date. How many future dates? Well, they have to go through all the species, wondering where the heck they heard that mantra from, until
Hare
they come
Krishna.
across the human species and they say, would you like to join our temple? Oh, what do you do in the temple? We chant Hare Krishna. Ah, Hare Krishna. I was an ant and I was going through so many species trying to find out where did that mantra come from. And now you find out you have a temple where you chant the mantra that I went through 100,000 lifetimes to hear again. You see?
Fantastic.
That's exactly how it works. Can you
Right.
imagine
Fantastic.
coming to that point? Remember the last thing I'll say is Maharaj Pariksit was being attacked by Svatama with a Brahmastra, which is a mantra-uttered atomic weapon that blows up small things like embryos in a uterus. And he was there. He was more than an embryo. He was what do they call it? In the universe. What are these? A baby in the universe. He was a baby in the uterus of Uttara, his mother. And the mantra propelled Brahmastra came in, glowing like the sun to destroy him. And then someone came in 10 million times brighter with 4 arms and a club and a chakra, a lotus flower and a conch. gorgeous beyond imagination. And he came in and blasted, probably with his chakra, and destroyed the Brahmastra. And Maharaj Universe, as the baby in the womb, stared at, couldn't believe what had just happened in front of him. Remember, he's a pure devotee in the womb, so he's not just an ordinary dumb kid and a dumb embryo. He's a bright baby in the womb. And so then, boom, that miraculous four-armed form covered with jewels and emitting more light than the Brahmastra by far, vanished. And he spent, after birth, he had no choice in his life. He had to find out who was that person. So do you know what his name became because of that? Who knows?
Parikshit.
Yes, Parikshit Maharaj means he who is searching, not in general, he who's searching for something. And the something was Vishnu that he was searching for. Later on, Sukadev Goswami sat with him at the bank of the Ganges and enlightened him in 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. It was 1 week, whatever it was, he enlightened him completely. Why? So that we could be enlightened eventually. Maybe not 1 week, but it gets but closer than in ancient times. It would take hundreds of thousands of years to get enlightened.
Okay, time's up.
Okay, so there it is. So Prabhus, may I have your prayers gathered together in one auspicious group of Jiva generated, spiritually generated, not from the human body outward, looking for the Jiva, but from the Jiva together with other Jivas in this Istagosthi. Can we pray? Let us get this cleared up so that ISKCON can be what Prabhupada designed it to be in the beginning.
Right.
And shall I add, there's no one else but us to do it right now, so let's do it.
Okay, good night, everybody.
What?
All
Good
right.
night.
Jai, good night.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Mahaprabhu.
All right. So let's end it here. Thank you to all the devotees that
Mahaprabhu,
have
try
joined.
listening to Prabhupada on your cell phone when you're driving. If you listen to lectures or kirtans, you'll be able. Mahaprabhu, Ramachandra, where will he find Prabhupada lectures on his cell phone, iPhone?
I'll send it to him. He'll have it.
Yeah, and kirtans too.
Okay, I'll do that.
What site is it on? Where do you find it?
Prabhupadavani.com.
Okay, Prabhupadavani.com.
Send it to me.
I will.
Hare Krishna.
Send it to me.
Yes.
And say hello to Chitanandra for me.
I will do that.
Jai.
All right, so our next session will be on Saturday, and then Sunday we're going to start about 7:45, 8 o'clock California
Yes.
time.
And please, Ramachandra, offer my genuine, heartfelt, genuine, spiritual respects to your good father.
Thank you very much, Jai.
Don't forget.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
And
I will not.
Good night to
I'm offering my
Rupa
respect.
Manjari Dasi. Good
You
night.
should meet his father. He's an amazing individual.
I'm sure he is.
He's a yogi mystic.
Jai. All right.
Who is experiencing his full potential without having reached it yet.
Haribol. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. You
Hare
can say that to
Krishna.
him, Ramachandra.
I will.
He's experiencing his full potential without having reached it yet.
Jai. Haribol.
I don't think he'll be insulted because you know what I mean. He knows what I mean. Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Good night.
Jai Mahaprabhu. We'll see you
Haribol.
at the cost of Costco.